welcome back to Jen Beauty. My name is Jennifer, and here on my channel I like to chat about all things beauty and makeup. Today I have another Chatty Get Ready with me. I think this is going to be a pre-film. I think I already said that, but that's okay. So I think this is going to be a pre-film, but this is the finished look that I did. I used the Natasha Denona Cupid palette. I ended up using my Tarte Energy blush and Complex Culture bronzer, which is like my favorite bronzer, and my favorite lipstick, which is the Tarte Sugar Rush Sugar Coat lipstick in Cupcake. And I did use the Milani Anti-Gravity mascara, and I don't really like it. It's a no for me. It's too clumpy. I used my Tarte Hydroflex Serum Foundation and Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. It's like a holy grail for so many, and like why I had to look at that, I don't know. For brows, I used the Tarte Amazonian Clay Waterproof Brow Pencil in medium brown and topped it with the e.l.f. Wow Brow in neutral brown. And I think that's all the products I used that I forgot to mention throughout the video. So if you would like to see this look come together and hear about how my husband and I ended up together, we'll go back to past me and go ahead and get ready together. I figured today I would do a Chatty Get Ready with me. This probably will be like a pre-film because I'm about to kick off my declutter series. But I figured today I would talk about, sorry, I'm looking for a brush. I figured today I would talk about how my husband and I ended up together. And in celebration of that, I'm going to use the Natasha Denona Cupid palette. So, funny enough, my husband and I actually went to the same high school. But he had no idea who I was. He was a grade ahead of me. But we did run in like a lot of the same circles. Like there was a talent show. He was in like a little garage band. And there was a talent show that he played in. And turns out I was there that night. I had a crush on another boy named John. My husband's name is Jonathan. But I call him John. So I had a crush on another boy named John, and he was also in a band. Apparently I have a type. And he wanted nothing to do with me, but I still kind of hung out with him and his friends. I just always made better friends with boys than I did girls. So I ended up with my ex-fiance. He broke up with me, and this was like right around Thanksgiving, between Thanksgiving and Christmas. Like I didn't spend Thanksgiving with him. He broke up with me right before Thanksgiving. So nice, right? And of course I was like ridiculously pining away for this idiot. And I ended up, don't judge me, I ended up on AOL, on AIM, and it was pretty late at night, so there weren't a lot of people like online if you tried to search for people. And I found someone that was in like my hometown that was online and was around my age, and I was like, cool, I'm gonna chat. And that ended up being my husband. And he was, I believe, single but pining away for his ex. Either that or he was still with her. I can't remember. I think they were like on a break, with her being the one that got to date other people and him being the one that was supposed to wait for her. I know, that's ridiculous. And So I ended up around Christmas time getting back together with my ex, and he was very controlling and didn't really let me get online very much, but I really didn't like being controlled, as one would expect. So I would just like get online when he wasn't around. And so occasionally I was still able to talk to Jonathan, but completely just, you know, as friends. And when my ex and I broke up, the first thing I did was go online and see if Jonathan was online. Not really sure why I thought of him first. I just did. I just kind of had this pull. Also, while I was engaged, my parents and I went to a Weight Watchers meeting at like this little pediatrician's office. This was like after the pediatrician's office was closed. I was like 19, I think. And turns out that we ended up at the same meeting as Jonathan's parents, and I didn't know that at first. And she kept talking about her son, and the way that she talked about him, I genuinely thought he was younger. But turns out he was like, you know, a year older than me. And so when I asked her what his name was, I was like, oh, I know him. And so he ended up coming in to like get some money from his mom for gas one time during a meeting, like right before it started. And first of all, I was like mortified because I've always been very embarrassed about my like weight issues and stuff. And like seeing this really hot guy at Weight Watchers was not really where it was at for me. And I typically did not bother doing anything with myself as far as like makeup and stuff when I went to these meetings, because I was like, this is Weight Watchers, man. Like, I'm not trying to pick up a date. And he walked in and I almost died of embarrassment. And I leaned over to my mom and I was like, Mom, that's Jonathan. He's hot. And she was like, Jennifer, you are engaged. And I was like, yeah, but I'm not dead or blind. And I'm sure my ex at the time definitely checked out other girls, because I'm just sure he did. Anyway, so fast forward back to when I finally kicked my ex-fiance out. Seriously, like the week that I kicked him out, I ended up online and talking to Jonathan again. And I told him, I was like, hey, we should do lunch sometime. And again, this is genuinely just, I'm thinking friendly, like I thought he was cute, but probably had no interest in me. And he was just really nice to talk to. I just enjoyed talking to him. And so I'm thinking like, awesome, he's gonna be like a great friend to like talk to again and confide in. And he was like, oh, well, if we do lunch sometime, we're gonna have to do it quick because I'm going to basic training soon. And my heart absolutely sank. And that was kind of like the first indication to me that I kind of maybe thought of him as more than a friend. Duh. And so I said, well, here's my number. Give me a call. And I did not think that he was going to text or call me. Like, I kind of felt like let's do lunch sometime is one of the things that like people say but never do. And the next day he texted me and he was like, hey, what you doing? And I was like, oh my God, he already texted me. And still at this point, I'm thinking he just thinks of me as a friend. Like, he has no interest in me. No one would be interested in me like that, especially not right now. Like, I had just really low self-esteem coming out of that relationship. I got interrupted by a hilarious text from my daughter. So hopefully I remembered where I was. So, we start talking. We start talking, and it got a bit more like flirty as we started talking, and we talked for like a week. He did ask me out, and he asked me to go to like dinner and a movie, you know, like the quintessential first date. So I agreed, of course, because I was very excited. And then I was talking about how I had the movie Serendipity, but my stupid ex would never watch it with me. It was still literally wrapped. And he was like, well, I'll come watch it with you. And I was like, oh, well, that would be great. And he's like, I can come tomorrow. And I was like, oh, that's even sooner than our date. I'm down. So literally the next day, he came over and we watched Serendipity together, the movie with John Cusack, and I forget the girl's name. But anyways, so we have a giant Serendipity sign on our wall that I had made on Etsy, and I absolutely love it. I struggle sometimes because I have discoloration here, and so if I'm using darker colors like a burgundy, purple, black, I struggle with, is my eyeshadow not blended or is that just my face? So let me do my foundation and then I'll be right back. All right, I'm done with foundation and concealer, so I'm gonna go ahead and do the under eye with the same palette. So we had our first date, and then we immediately the next day had like our second date, and then we had a couple more dates before he left, and I really could never wait to see him again. And then when he left, like 2 weeks later, I was completely and totally devastated. But we started writing letters to each other. So while he was in basic training the entire time, I wrote to him, and I would write like a couple letters at a time and send them in one envelope, or I would write him like a letter every day and send all of them. Found out afterwards he had to do a push-up for every letter he received, so my bad. But he was more than happy to do the push-ups. I want to say it was like maybe 10 push-ups per letter received, but he was more than happy to earn his letters because he was so excited to hear from me and from family. There's my blending brush. Like, we went real heavy over here and like normal over here. I'm not really sure what happened other than it's me. So when he was done with basic training, his parents actually took me to his basic training graduation. And that was like an overnight trip. So I stayed overnight in a hotel room with his parents and grandmother. And like at this point, we had not been dating that long. Like, we dated for 2 weeks before he left, but he really wanted me to be there, and I really wanted to be there to support him, even if it made me incredibly uncomfortable and gave me so much anxiety to stay with people that like I just didn't like. I knew them from like Weight Watchers and stuff, and sometimes we would go out to dinner together, but at the same time, like, I didn't know them, you know? So I did it anyways, and was very happy to be there for him. And so one of the very first pictures that we ever took was at his graduation ceremony. And I'm sure I have a very poor quality picture I can pop up here. you have to remember, this is like back before there were like cell phone cameras. So it wasn't like you could just take a selfie whenever you wanted. You had to, like, you know, think ahead and have a camera. So that's why we didn't really have any before he left. And then he went off to AT, which is like their like schooling that they do for their MOS, which is like their specialty, like what their job will be in the military. And I still was like in love with him, but he was kind of like distant and pushing me away and stuff. And it was really difficult to like be with him while he was in AT. And he like didn't really break up with me, but he also really wasn't being a boyfriend to me. So we ended up, I just told him I wanted to date other people and asked if he was okay with that, or, you know, told him I wanted to make friends with, or make plans with this guy that wanted to make plans with me. I was like, you know, unless you want to make plans with me. This is after he got home. Actually, let's back it up. He didn't even tell me that he broke his pinky and had to come home early. Like he finished his AT, but then he was supposed to go to jump school. I don't know why he wanted to jump out of airplanes, but he did. He wanted to go airborne. So he had to put off airborne school because he was on profile for his pinky. And he didn't even tell me that like he was being sent home. And I found out from his mom, who let it slip. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? She didn't know though. Like she didn't know that he hadn't told me he was like coming home yet. So I incessantly called him. Like I was mad. I was like, just talk to me. Just give me an answer. Like, why are you not telling me? What did I do? Like, did you cheat on me? Like what happened? Or did you find somebody else? So turns out he kind of got wind that he might be getting deployed, and that his like unit, they were gonna pick some people from to deploy them. And he didn't want me to like have to decide if I wanted to wait around for him. I think he just assumed I would say no. And then if I said yes, he was afraid that like I would wait for him and then he would end up like dead at war. So he really didn't have a lot of faith in me. And he really was making decisions for me, which he knows that that is not really how I operate or what I would have wanted. He knows that now, but he made some mistakes back then, as we all do when we are very young. And so I basically told him, look, you moron, I'm in love with you and I'll wait for you. Like, I will follow you across the country. I will wait for you. I don't care. Like, this is stupid love. And I'm ready to be like stupid instead of like all this toxic drama that I just dealt with in my last relationship. So let me be stupid with you. And so he finally was like, you know what? I don't think I want you going out with other guys. And I was like, thank you. It took you long enough. So we were together. I guess that was in October, late October. We were together all of November, and I told him in November at Thanksgiving that I really saw myself marrying him someday. And he promised me that if he were to get deployed, that we would get married. And he just did not want to leave without marrying me, but we could wait. And like our plan was for both of us to go to school and, well, I mean, I was in school, but it was for me to finish school, for him to start and finish school. Well, he had started, but he dropped out. Anyways, for him to start and finish at the new school he was going to go to. And that we would, you know, see ourselves getting engaged while we were still in college and then getting married like right after we were out of college. Like that's kind of like where our mindset was. But if he got deployed, that we would like run and get married because we didn't want to wait. And on December 5th, which today is December 5th, I gave him, I wrote a note like late at night, like the 4th into the 5th, telling him that I was really scared that he was going to be deployed soon. I just had a feeling that it was coming and that I would be there for him and wait for him and support him in any way that I could if it happened. And that I still very much did want to get married to him. On December 5th in the evening, he was supposed to come over and we were supposed to hang out, and he just didn't show up. He didn't show up when he was supposed to. And I got really upset with him because like he didn't call, he didn't text, like he didn't tell me at all why he wasn't there. First I was worried. Then when I realized he was like sending me straight to voicemail, I was mad because he completely stood me up and I didn't understand why. Like I didn't understand what I did to him. Turns out he hates confrontation. So he finally called me back and told me he was at Target with his mom. And I was like, what? You're at Target with your mom? I don't understand. And he said he would come over when he was done and he would explain everything. And I'm like, what in the world? I don't understand. So I'm mad and I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, but I'm pretty pissed at this point because he is again like ghosted me for no frickin' reason and made me worry and all this other stuff. So he comes over and he starts to try to tell me like what's going on and immediately bursts into tears. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what in the world is wrong? And he managed to get out that he was being deployed to Iraq and it was going to be that he would have to be gone for like at least a year, probably longer. It was 18 months, including train up. And in the midst of this, he says, and I can't even marry you because my dad won't approve. His dad was in the military for like 31 years and he saw a lot of people like run off and just get married because they were getting deployed and then things like did not work out well for them. But he did not know that we had already like heavily been talking about marriage between the two of us. And so instead of John like explaining like we know we want to get married, he just felt like he couldn't go through with that without his parents' blessing at that point. And I will admit that was like very hurtful, and I had a lot of like frustration over that because I really did just want to be with him. I wanted to know if he left the country that I could be there for him in the capacity that a wife would be should anything happen. Like I was ready to commit to him and be there for him. And so I kind of let it go, but later did kind of tell him that, you know, that really does hurt, but I understand that like you don't want to do this without your parents' blessing. Like, I get it. So for his birthday, he really liked rings at the time. He still does. He still likes to have a variety of rings. He doesn't really wear them anymore, but he has changed out his wedding band a couple times throughout the years, including the one that was stolen in Iraq. Jerks. So I gave him a ring and I wrote him a letter letting him know that I loved him and it was okay. I forgave him that we were not getting married, but I did want to give him a promise ring to let him know that I'll always be like with him and love him, and I'll be here when he comes back. And so that was on January 15th. On January 17th, he called me because he like got to his duty station and got settled in and everything, and was able to make phone calls. And he was like, you know, thank you so much for the note. I've really been thinking about it a lot, and I really want this ring on my right finger to be on my left finger. Like, I don't think I can leave this country without marrying you. That's all I've been able to think about. And I was like, you know, what about your parents? And he was like, I'll deal with them. I'll explain to them that this is really what I want, and hopefully they'll be there for me. And if they're not, then I think that's their loss at this time. And so he was like, you know, will you marry me before I leave? And I'm like, duh, dumbass, like it took you long enough. But I said yes. So I didn't really get a formal proposal or anything. He was pretty broke, so he's like, you know, I don't have a ring or anything for you. And I'm like, you know, can we get a wedding band? Like, if the wedding band has just one tiny little like diamond on it, I'll be really happy. And I don't need like a big, huge diamond ring or anything. Like, we can get like $100, $200, like cubic zirconia. I don't care. I just want a little tiny diamond on my hand. And he ended up getting me a ring that had like diamonds inset in the band. And when we picked it out together, it said love on the side. And as we're driving back to the house, we see that it does not say love. The one that they actually gave us says mom. At that point, I am like 20 and definitely not ready to be a mom. Like, I knew I wanted to have kids, but no, thank you. And so he's like, well, if you turn it upside down, it just says, wow, wow, you're gorgeous. Wow, I love you. And I was like, no. Honestly, it was simply because I really wanted to have kids someday, and I felt like if I had a ring that already said mom, I just felt like that was bad juju. I don't know how to explain it. I had already been told that I may never be able to have kids, so I really didn't want to risk that at all. So he, the lighting today really sucks. I'm not really sure why. I apologize. So he called the place that we got it from, and he was like, hey, I got this ring from you guys like a couple minutes ago, and like, this is not the right ring. And they're like, oh, sorry. Let me go see, you know, if we have the right one. It must have been put in the wrong box. And so they go and they look, and they don't have any. Like, they all say mom. They just happen to have a box that said love. And I can't remember if they like had one on display or if they already sold it. I cannot remember the reasoning, but he called another store to see if they had the one that said love, and they did not, but he decided he would go and wait for them when they opened. So I kind of skipped over a couple of things because it's complicated, but essentially he got leave, and he wasn't really told like when all he was going to get leave. So he got leave a couple weeks after he got there. So they were told that they would get at least one R&R leave to kind of like wrap up things that they needed to and see their family. And being low man on the totem pole, he did not get to choose when he got his leave. And you know, higher ups definitely would choose like something more like mid-range or like on Valentine's Day. So he was told that he was getting leave on Valentine's Day. And then that is when we planned on getting married. Was actually on February 13th, but that's fine. So he called me and he was like, hey, I'm not actually coming home on the 13th. And of course I'm like bummed, and he's like, I'm coming home sooner. And it ended up being like the weekend of January, like I want to say it was like the 28th through the 31st, or maybe the 29th through the 31st. And they did not let him drive down there. They actually took a bus down there. We dropped him off at the military base, and that was close to where we were. And so we had to drive down to the base to go get him. So his mom drove and I went with her. So it was just me and his mom. Pretty sure it was just me and his mom. Yes. I forget what his dad was doing. Maybe working. I can't remember. Probably taking care of the animals. They did have dogs at the time. So me and his mom went and picked him up, and on the way home, he drove, but there ended up being like this massive ice storm. And I say ice storm because the roads were frozen solid with a sheet of ice. And we seriously were considering like getting a hotel to stay in for the night because it was so bad. So we, wow, that was way too much blush for the forehead. It's fine. I'll fix it. So, we lived in the Atlanta area at the time, and 285 ended up being shut down for a tractor trailer. And so they had to like wait for a tow truck for the tractor trailer. They had to get everything clear and then they could reopen it. Well, in the process of this happening, all that's happening is the ice is just building and building and building. And so when we got to go, we were like the first ones. We were like towards the front of the line of cars that were stopped. And it was just like a skating rink. Like the roads had not been salted. They don't really have scrapers that come through there. So, or like plows or anything. So that was awful, like so awful. And then when we got back to his house, finally, we did make it there safe and sound. Very, very close call on one time. So we got back to his house, and we were like snowed in for the weekend. So it wasn't until Sunday afternoon that we were able to go get a ring. And then Monday we were getting married at the courthouse. And it ended up being his parents, my parents, and whatever random people were sitting in the courtroom. Like, we listened to people like ask for what are they called? Restraining orders. Well, we're sitting in the back waiting to get married. Like, I'm in an actual wedding dress. He's in his military uniform. And he was able to go to the jewelry store the morning that they opened, like right when they opened, and get a ring. And he was supposed to come pick me up at my house, and I was alone getting ready. My parents went ahead. I forget why. I think because I wanted to ride with him. And so they went ahead and left so that it would be like a private moment, just me and him. And then he showed up really late, didn't really like let me know that he was going to be late. He's much better at communicating now. He learned a lot of lessons. We were young, like we had not fully matured yet. And he showed up with his mom, and I don't think there was a single nice picture of me when he came to get me at the door, because I'm pretty sure I was so like, first I was surprised. I was like, I don't understand. Like, first of all, why are you late? Second of all, like, you know, why is your mom here? I thought that, you know, he was like gonna stand me up. And turns out she wanted to take pictures, but like he didn't warn me of that. And I'm not very good with like the unexpected. I need to know what to expect. If I know what to expect, I can go with the flow just fine. But yeah, no, that was interesting. I was very like anxious because, you know, I had just gone from thinking he was going to leave me at the altar to, no, he's just a terrible communicator. I still wanted to marry his ass though. So, at the time, you did not go through the metal detectors as soon as you walked into the facility. And I did put my dress on, like when I got there, I got ready in the bathroom, and going through the metal detectors in my wedding dress. I thought there was a picture of it somewhere, but I can't find it. I'm sure when I'm like 70 years old looking for it, I'll finally find it. So we got married. The judge like teased us that we were too young and asked if we had consent from our parents. And she ended up being a judge that he saw several times throughout his career as a police officer. So that was kind of funny. She ended up remembering him a couple of times and was so impressed each time that we were still married. I think it really made her happy to know like that some of the people that just run up there and get married do stay married. And we have been married, hold on, 22. Next year we will have been married for 18 years. And we have 3 kids, and we've made it through 2 deployments and 1 lengthy separation for him to be on a contract job. Numerous weeks and weekends away for the military duty. And he is very much looking forward to retiring and not having to keep leaving us. We're like counting down. So that is how my husband and I ended up getting together and married, all within like 9 months. And all like started about a week and a half, 2 weeks after I dumped my ex-fiance. I moved quick, okay, guys? Like I didn't have any time to waste. I really wasn't looking for anything, but I don't know, like I guess my heart was open to it because I was so ready to let go of my old relationship. I had to work through some things while he was gone, but thankfully worked through them. And it wasn't really about my ex. It was more like the plans that I made to like have a wedding that never happened. Like it was more about the like wedding itself and less about like who I was supposed to marry. So I hope you enjoyed this chatty get ready with me. I always have fun doing these and sharing a little something. If you have an interesting story on how you met your significant other or how you ended up getting married, I hope you'll share with me in the comments because I absolutely love hearing about that. And if you had a toxic ex and you want to share that, totally down for that too. We can commiserate in the comments. If you like this video, I hope you give it a big thumbs up. And if you would like to see more makeup and beauty content with me, hit that subscribe button and I'll have more coming at you. I hope wherever you are, you have a wonderful day. Bye.